I was kind of looking back at this year and I'm like, I kind of want to just do a favorites video, gushing about my favorites. I've wanted to do a book and makeup video for a long time. This is me trying. I've done one makeup video and I really loved it. Actually, I did a makeup review on the Avatar: Last Airbender and Lethal Cosmetics. I love doing it. I don't know, I really like makeup. I want to include fashion and makeup in more of this. Maybe this next year I will be doing more of that. Let's get started. I bought another Lethal Cosmetics order. I really was impressed by the Avatar stuff that I wanted to try more, and they put more out of the Avatar stuff. So I bought a blind bundle which came with this brush which I'm obsessed with. This is the powder brush. I want brushes and I'm always too scared to buy them because brushes are expensive. It came in my little blind bag, as well as like brush cleaner. I got some eyeshadows and I got an eyeshadow palette. Pretty nice blind bag. And then I also bought the palette that we'll be using, or I'm trying to use. I got the other Avatar stuff, UA glitter gel, I want to believe. It's the same thing as Sokka's, but obviously based off of Princess UA, and it says on the box, gave me life, maybe I can give it back. So I want to try to use this Suki fan brush, though it is just a fan brush. There's nothing special about it, and I don't really use fan brushes that often. Palette that kind of looks like Game Boy. There's not that many colors in this, but honestly I was surprised to even get a palette, but there's all these fun colors. But the main reason why I made this order palette, this is Spellcraft. It looks like a book. I'm obsessed. So now we're gonna talk about my favorite books of the year while I get ready. So I'm gonna just start with my base here. I freaking need a mirror. I'll use, the one thing about these Lethal's palettes is they always have good mirrors. I'm not in focus. I'm gonna bring you just a little bit more so it actually focuses on me. There we go. Hi, we're up close and personal and I'm not wearing any makeup, so don't judge. I hate wearing super heavy foundation. It's just not my thing. So I like to use this ColourPop tinted moisturizer. This is my favorite thing. So, because it doesn't feel super heavy. And while we do this, we're gonna chat. This is basically, I'm doing a get ready with me. That's what this is. Let's start talking books. I didn't read that many new books this year. I know like I'm a book reviewer, so I should be reading more. I don't know what's been happening recently. I've just been rereading and rereading and like not doing much else. So I don't have that many new favorites. Love books, I really do. But I just stuck my nail in my blush. This is the ColourPop Let's Dance Pressed Powdered Blush. Not my favorite blush, but it's the one I have right now, so we're gonna use it. I'm at 49 books right now. I only had a couple 5-star reads. Like, not a lot of books wowed me. Unless they were rereads. I have 6-ish books entering new favorites, or I guess 5 and 1 that isn't really entering my favorites, but I need to talk about it. There's that. But first book I'm gonna talk about is actually 2 books because it's the first and second. So at the beginning of this year I read What the River Knows by Isabella Banes, and I became quickly very obsessed with this book. I really like Egyptian mythology and Egyptian based things, and this book had that going for it. The Mummy, Indiana Jones, you know, that kind of stuff. It also had a very sarcastic main love interest who is a little bit more on the morally gray side, which is my kryptonite, I guess. I'm obsessed with the morally gray love interest. Enemies to lovers, I love that kind of trope. Though recently I've been falling out of love with it because I think it's just done so often and it's not been done right. So, oh, I wanted to test this brush out. Damn it. What the River Knows is basically following our main girl Inez, and she lives in Buenos Aires? No. Inez, basically her parents are in Egypt, and she really doesn't like that. She is not a fan of them living in Egypt without her. She wants to live in Egypt with them. She wants to do all the Egyptian things. She has been begging her parents to let her join them for a while. And so she finally turns 18, it's her 18th birthday, and she gets a letter in the mail. Your parents are dead, I'm sorry, is the letter says. So she pretends to be a widow and goes across the ocean. She gets there. She meets Whitford Hayes, who is her main love interest, who I am obsessed with. And basically her uncle sent Whitford. Whitford works for her uncle. It's the journey of nobody wants Inez to be in Egypt. Keep trying to send her home. She is really stubborn and is gonna stay there, even though they don't want her there. And so it's like her basically sneaking around everywhere, discovering secrets. There is a bit of a magic system. There's Mr. Whitford Hayes, who I adore. so much. He is basically like Han Solo. I don't know, he's a time. He reminds me of Thomas Creswell a little bit, honestly. I love the sarcastic voice. This book, there's a lot in it. It made me so happy. They're searching for stuff, so there's a little bit of a mystery in there too. It's very cool vibes. So anyways, the first book ends on a huge cliffhanger and it makes you a little bit upset, or at least it made me upset. We don't need to talk about it. The first book for a long time was my ultimate favorite of this year. And so as soon as the second book came out, I was reading it. It's still considered favorites of this year, the first book at least. The second book brought it down just a little bit for me. I did not enjoy the second book as much as I did the first book, though the second book still reached this list as well. I don't know if they're reaching my all-time favorite series kind of list. I really just didn't have many books that I really enjoyed this year. There wasn't a lot of favorites. I really want washi tape. Here's the thing, I'm not a professional makeup artist. I need cheats. Washi tape to help cheat. At least making a straight line for me to follow so that my makeup doesn't look like complete garbage. So I think if the second book would have been slightly better, then it would have been on my all-time favorite series list. The second book syndrome happens a lot where the first book gets you really excited and you really like the first book, and then you read the second book and it is a letdown. At least that's what happened with me and What the River Knows. These bangs are rough, man. A Study in Drowning by Ava Reid. I've read one Ava Reid book and I've been obsessed with it. I've been meaning to read all her other books. I just put in a request to get the second of A Study in Drowning on NetGalley. I'm really hopeful. Also, if you're a publisher or a marketer for a publisher, and I will sell my soul for the second copy. The vibes of this book were perfect. There's two very different sides of me, so I think these two books is perfect for this. There is ancient Egyptian adventurous jungle cruise almost, and then my second is very dark academia, witchy magic, stuff like that. Those are my two sides. They're very different vibes, I feel like, but I love both of them so much. They're just my vibe, you know? Anyways, Study in Drowning is very dark academia based. I had one issue with this book which kind of left it from being my favorite of the year and made What the River Knows mine, but now I don't know. The more I think about it, the more, even though I'm like, it's not an okay thing, it's in that book for a reason. It has this like kind of little creepy vibes in it. It's not scary, but there is like this creepy mythology base to it. Follows a girl, she's a student. The college, oh, this is going off the top of my head, I can't remember what she's studying, but the college won't allow her to study what she actually wants to because she is a girl. So she chooses a different major, and a chance comes up for her to go to the house of her favorite author. He has recently passed away, and she got invited to go to his house and do like this big interview paper thing about him. So she says yes and she goes, and when she gets there, another student at the school also got approved to go do this, so he is there as well. In this world, there are two countries at war with each other, and he is basically from the other country, so there's a lot of hate towards him just because he's from that country. They're basically fighting, butting heads this whole time because she's trying to do her job and he's trying to do his job. I'm not doing a great job explaining this, but there's this mystery aspect of it, as well as mythology and weird creatures and like all this fun stuff mixed in, also a dark academia romantic setting, because there is romance in this. It's enemies to lovers, but it's more like she's just prejudiced and then eventually gets over her prejudices and it's like, hey, you're kind of cute. So there is that. I stayed up until I think about 4 in the morning to finish this book. I like listened to it all in one sitting. I was kinda obsessed with the vibe. Good vibes. Very dark academia, which I have read a lot of dark academia books, but they didn't quite nail the dark academia like magic-y kind of thing for me, and this book does so well at that. I think I'm gonna label A Study in Drowning as my favorite read of this year, but I really don't know. Like, I'm not very impressed with this makeup skills right now either. We can talk about it next, I guess. They're always my favorite books of the year because they're always the new release by Carrie Maniscalco. So I'm obsessed with Carrie Maniscalco. She is my favorite author. Stalking Jack the Ripper is my all-time favorite series. I really loved Queen of the Wicked too. Throne of Secrets came out this year, and these books all follow a different Prince of Health. And I actually really enjoyed Gluttony's story, like more than I thought I was going to. Listen, I'm a little bit biased when it comes to a Carrie Maniscalco book. I know I am. Still adore them. You're allowed to be biased about your favorite reads. They are favorite for a reason. There's that. But I always usually leave a separate category for like the Carrie Maniscalco. Usually I would also have a Sarah J Maas book on this year, but Sarah J Maas books, the one I read this year, was one of my least favorite reads of this year. Least favorite. So there's that. This definitely isn't my favorite eye makeup look I've ever done. This is why I usually don't use purples, because I'm not very good. I don't think my skin meshes with purple very well. I think it just makes me look kind of dead. Well, we've committed to this, so... Carrie Maniscalco book, of course, is going to be on my top. It's Carrie Maniscalco. What more do you expect? Next was a book that completely surprised me. A blind read. I just kind of picked it up and started reading it, not expecting much, but I saw the fan art online for it and I was like, yeah, I'll read it because of that fan art, and I started it and I became obsessed, really enjoyed it, and then suddenly it was blowing up on booktube and BookTok, and that was Phantasma. Very heavy romantasy. There is a lot of spice in this book, following kind of like a witch or a voodoo. What is she called? What is she considered? Not a necromancer. They live, it's New Orleans. I can't give you the term because I forgot it. But I surprisingly really loved it. It was kind of like if Caraval was for a much older audience and you put it in New Orleans. There's a lot of murder trials. You're trying to win this big competition to get this like wish. All of these like different type of ghost, a lot of people say Danny Phantom vibes. You love Caraval, a game or a competition going on, and you also like spice, check it out. It also can get pretty gory, so there is that going on. I cannot talk while doing eyeliner. Now we get to kind of my honorary mention, because none of these in this series reached 5 stars for me. This is one of those series that I've been wanting to read for a long time, but I looked at it and I was like too scared to read it. And so one of my besties, this is her favorite like all-time series. She just loves it so much, and I was like, I will read it this year for you. And so I did. And they were a fun time. Well, they are a good time, but like it's like watching reality TV show, I feel like. I have a lot of issues with this series, but it was a really fun time. Like, really enjoyed my time reading these series. While they are definitely not 5 stars, they didn't even give above 3 stars for me, but it was a really fun time. Like, I really enjoyed my time reading these series. There's just something to say about entertainment value versus like quality of the book. So this series gave me a really high entertainment value, but the quality of the books were very, very low. I had a blast reading these. I could not say they're my favorites. This was the only series this year that I think series, not a duology, I read, because it was like the only series that I could actually get into and enjoy reading like the whole time, other than book 8. I hated book 8. I really still want to do a Zodiac Academy video, but a deep review of every single book in this series. There are 9 books in this series, and the longest is like 1,200 pages long. Do not regret reading them. I had a lot of fun. I remember a lot of details about this series, surprisingly, so I think one of the funnest parts is seeing the videos and the fan art and like talking to my friend who really loves this series about it. Like, that all makes it so much better than the actual series itself. So I will say I do love these NYX lipsticks very much. My favorite one is this one right here, actually. Low cut. They stay, and I can work a 9-hour shift in these and eat, and they would still be fine. Other favorites. Avatar collab. Favorite thing in my makeup. It's just so shiny and sparkly, and I'm obsessed with this particular highlighter. Those are my favorite reads of this year, and some of my other favorite things. I will be doing a whole end of year book wrap up when I get the chance. I know it is really close to the end of December, so I hope I can actually get this up before we get to the new year, but happy holidays. I hope your reading went better than mine did this year. I wish I just had more favorites to share with you. I wish I had more new authors to talk about. There wasn't a lot of favorites this year, though my part 2 reading wrap up is coming up, and I'm sure I'll be gushing about them again in that video. Quick little chat and get ready with me for kind of a mediocre makeup look. Let's be honest. When it comes to Lethal Cosmetics, I really like their neutrals and their reds. I'm having a rough time. I just don't wear like purples and blues a lot, but I knew that this palette was mostly that when I bought it anyways. Thank you for watching. I will see you next time. Tell me your favorite books of this year so I can go try to read them. I need some good favorites, you know? Happy holidays. Thank you so much for watching and being here with me this year. Crazy world, and I just hope that this can be a safe space for people. Kind of not an original concept at all. There's a lot of people who do like the get rid of me's and talk about things like their favorites and stuff like that. So I just wanted to give it a little try. Let me know what you think, and I will see you next time.